Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video lesson is going to be on the second part of my last lesson, which was points, lines, and planes. Today's lesson is going to be about lines. And yeah, as always, if you guys have any questions you need to ask me regarding the lesson or any content or something like that, make sure to, you guys, you can always just like leave it in the comments down below about about your questions, and I'll be sure to respond to you. If I ever make something like wrong, if I ever give you guys any wrong information, just make sure to correct me, please. Just comment down below and I'll make sure to correct it in a pinned comment so that way everyone can see it. And if you guys don't really feel comfortable with publicly asking, and you guys don't really want to comment on my Twitter or Instagram, by the way, go follow, shameless plug. Then you can always just email me at cupingsu22@gmail.com. Go follow my socials to be updated. Here's my email. It got a little bit cut off, but it's fine. Also, make sure to go follow my Instagram and my Twitter, just so you guys can be updated about when I post and stuff. And yeah, you guys can also privately DM me on there, or you guys can comment on my posts about any questions you may have. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's go. Okay, so as I mentioned before, today's lesson is gonna be about lines and lines. So yeah, so you guys probably are asking, well, I mean, if you guys are watching this lesson, I would hope you'd be asking, what is a line? So a line is another undefined term. I went over that in my last video with about planes. Points, lines, and terms don't really have a specific definition. They're called undefined terms, but I will try my best to explain it in the least confusing way possible. So I hope you guys understand this. So a line basically extends in one dimension. So if you guys remember from last videos, planes, they extend into two dimensions. However, a line only extends into one dimension. They're usually represented by a straight line with two arrowheads on each side of them, and they go on forever in both directions. Or, well, you can assume they do. If they have two arrowheads on both sides, that kind of indicates that the line goes on forever. But of course, it's kind of impossible to draw something that goes on forever. So that's just kind of that's how they're drawn. So an example of a line is this. This is line AB, because there's 2 points, A and B. And as you guys can see, it's just straight, and there are 2 arrows indicating that it's a line and it goes on in both directions forever. So we're going to go over 3 types of lines in this video. So the first one is just a line. It goes on in both directions, as this one does right here. Next, we have a line segment, which is part of a line that's in between 2 endpoints. I will define what an endpoint is, which is why I have an asterisk right here. And finally, we have a ray. A ray is part of a line that has an initial point. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot to write that, so I just included that quickly. And it also extends forever in only one direction. So just to kind of summarize, lines go on forever in both directions, like this one. Line segments don't go on in directions. It's just part of a line, but that doesn't extend into either direction. And rays only extends into one direction. So then more important definitions is endpoints. So endpoints are points that close off a line segment. So I will show you guys what those mean later. but you guys will see. And then initial points, well, initial point in the case of array is like the starting point of array. I haven't shown you guys, so that may not make any sense, but I will come back to that and I will show you guys some examples of that. So now let's just go on to some examples that I have prepared for the lines. So here we have some examples of different lines. So first we just have the classic line. So this is line AB. As you guys can see, we can also label AB just by writing AB in capital letters with a line above. Make sure to write the arrows. Otherwise, if you don't write the arrows, that will mean something completely different. However, you can also switch the order around. You can say line BA or just BA with the line above it. That's also acceptable. Just because it goes on in both directions, there's not really one way you can label it, because there is a case where you cannot switch it around, but in this case you can, just because the line goes on in both directions. So it doesn't really matter which letter comes first. And lines can also be labeled with a single lowercase letter. So I just put a little y right here, so this can also be named line Y. However, you do have to pay attention to like the capitalization of a letter. So if it's in capital letters, you have to make sure you write it as a capital letter. Otherwise, you'll probably get points taken off. So you don't want that. So lines, if they're labeled with a single letter, it's generally always gonna be lowercase. So yeah, so this is line Y, or you can write it as line AB, or also line BA. So next we have this line. So I'll give you guys actually 3 seconds to be able to figure what this line is. I'll give you guys 3 seconds. Okay. So once again, if you guys need like extra time, just pause the video and just like, unpause it when you're ready to watch. I'm just gonna go over it. So this can be labeled as line CD or line CD or line DC. Okay, another thing is, generally if you want to label a line, you generally want to use this instead of writing out line CD. However, writing out line CD is also acceptable, and it's not gonna get points taken off usually, but generally people like to use this more in my experience. Yeah, once again, you can use either of these, it does not matter. Also, at the end of the video, out of 3 points, make sure to tell me how many you got correct, because there will be 3. This is one of the 3 questions that I will be showing, or giving you guys to answer. Next up, we have the line segments, which I talked about briefly. So this is line segment EF. So the difference between this and this is that this does not have 2 arrows. It's just a line. Because these points E and F are considered endpoints. So you don't see an arrow, arrows at either end, which means it just stops there. So it doesn't go on forever, it just stops. This is the whole line segment. You can also write it as line segment FE. Once again, it doesn't really matter just because it stops in both directions. So there's no correct one way to write it. It can be line segment EF or line segment FE, doesn't matter. So now for the second part of the question, we are going to be doing the line segments. So here we have another line segment. So I will give you guys another 3 seconds to figure out what this is. And yeah, once again, pause the video if you need it. Okay, So, oh, I kind of leaked the answer, but it's okay. This is line segment GH or line segment HG. Once again, it doesn't really matter what it is, just because it stops in both directions. So it doesn't really matter if you write HG, GH, both are acceptable, both are equal, doesn't really matter. Finally, we have rays. So, as you guys can see, this is, it's kind of looks like a line segment, but then there's an arrow on one side. So rays, they can have an arrow in either direction, but in this case, the ray is facing this way, so it extends only on the right, so not this way. It stops here, goes on forever here. So this point I, is considered the initial point, which I went over earlier. This is where the ray starts. So this can be labeled ray IJ, or like a ray above it. However, you do have to be careful about this. So this is also not ray JI, because it starts at I, not at J. I hope I explained that okay. For example, I'm gonna take my pen out, because J, it goes on forever. So I is the initial point. It doesn't go on forever in this direction. It doesn't stop at J either, though. So if you write it as ray JI, then it would kind of be implied that the ray looks like this. Because here, J is the initial point, while I is the point that kind of extends out forever. However, that's not the case here. And also, you cannot write IJ as this, because that also implies that J was the initial point, or like the starting point, and that this is like the line that goes out forever. So this is also not correct. So yeah, just keep that in mind. It's not like these, because it doesn't extend or stop in both directions. One direction is different from the other. I hope I explained that correctly. Finally, for the last part of this test, we have a ray. So there is technically one possible answer to this. So I'll give you guys another 3 seconds. Once again, just pause if you guys need more time. Okay. So the answer was ray KL. Once again, you guys can tell, just because K is the initial point and it's where the ray starts, it doesn't keep extending past K. It just starts at K, stops. However, L keeps going on and keeps extending in this direction, like forever. So that's why it's KL, because it starts at K, it keeps going past L. So yeah, let me know how many you got correct out of 3 down in the comments below. Hopefully you got all of them right. So hopefully you guys were able to follow along pretty okay. Hopefully I was able to explain everything well and correctly, and in a way that was easy to be understood. If there was anything that you guys were confused about, or you guys felt like I didn't explain well, just like always, you guys can always just let me know in the comments. I would prefer if you did that, honestly. And let me know also how many of the 3 questions you got correct. Hopefully you guys got all 3. And if you didn't, then just rewatch the video, or I can just explain it to you in the comments or something like that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. and turn on the notifications. So that way when I upload, you guys will get a new notification. Remember that every Friday I post at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so convert your local time zone as needed. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was able to help you guys well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.